everyone, welcome to the workshop, and this is on how to build a professional software portfolio for any projects or any internships you have. Okay, so we're going to be covering a few topics. So first off, what is a software portfolio? Then we're going to quickly do an introduction to GitHub, why you should choose GitHub to display your portfolio. We'll do quick account setup and initial page setup. Then we'll get into like a live demonstration of repository setup, what to include in your repository, a README file, and I'll just give some final organizational tips. All right, so what is a software portfolio? So a software portfolio is an organized way of showing off some like various projects you have. The projects do not necessarily have to all be software. It can also include hardware components, as many of mine do. In context of applying for a job, your portfolio proves what you can do what you claim to do on your resume. And in context for applying to university is a way for the university to determine your possible success in the given program. So typically software portfolios are used for programs such as engineering or computer science. And it's a way for universities to see, like, are you truly interested in engineering and what sort of technical skills you've got. Now, introduction to GitHub. So speaking of software portfolios, where would you display all of your amazing work and projects? So the answer to that is GitHub. And this is the most popular platform used by many developers across the world to display many things. All right, so why should you use GitHub? So besides being the most popular platform for developers, GitHub is convenient. It's cloud-based, which means you can access it from any of your devices, your phone, your computer, your laptop, anywhere, as long as you remember the password, of course. And it's organized, it's relatively easy to use, and it looks really good in terms of organization. Okay, so if you guys don't already have one, you can obviously do this later. It's sort of tough to do this like along with the workshop, but I would definitely recommend creating a GitHub account. And keep in mind, when you're creating this account, it's not necessarily going to be your account forever, because of course you can just create another login, but make sure you choose like a username or something that like they can tell it's you, like have like your name perhaps somewhere written in there. And also try to keep things on this page as professional as possible, because although you can create another account and move everything over, it's sort of like an unnecessary hassle. And I wish I'd done that because I had to create a new account because my organization was all over the place initially. So once you've chosen your email address and password, and make sure you note those down because you do not want to forget it, GitHub is going to sort of take you to a page like this. So welcome to GitHub, and it's going to ask you a series of questions just to see sort of what type of user you are. So example, for the first question, it's like, what do you mainly do? So for most of you, it's probably going to be student, or maybe if you have an internship, software engineer. And then how much programming experience do you have? Just be honest in all of these questions. It doesn't matter. It's not going to give you different features based on different answers. It just sort of wants to like know where you're at and what do you plan to use GitHub for. Usually I would just write like host a project or like show off projects or something, schoolwork or student projects, and things you're interested in just generally. So are you interested in like languages or like building stuff, hardware, software, etc., etc. Okay, so now we're going to actually get into the live demonstration. And for that, I'm going to show you guys like along with like an actual demonstration of it. I believe this is it. Yeah, okay, perfect. So I've created a test GitHub account. So this is not my real account. It's just absolutely blank. I just answered the questions we saw here on like the previous slides. And this is what your page is going to look like. So there are certain specific settings that you can play around with for a bit if you'd like. So if you just go click on the top right, it's your main user interface like it is on most websites. So you can like sign out, there's settings, help, upgrades, and like a bunch about your profile, your repositories. So if you go into settings, you can mess around a bit, maybe add like a proper name about yourself. One thing I definitely do if you're going to make this professional is have a bio. So example, you could say, I am passionate about software development and just something like simple like that. And just, it can be casual typically, but just try to have a bio or something. Then you can also put in links to things. So such as if you have like a LinkedIn page or your own personal website or anything like that. So this is basically like on Instagram, if you have like your bio, like the bio, just fill it in like that and just keep it as professional as possible. You can change your username and things. This button, be careful of. GitHub does a really nice thing where if it's anything really big, they typically highlight it red. And that also goes to repositories, as we'll get into later. Appearance, you can choose a dark mode, a default theme, whatever. You can change like the emoji colors. Account security and all of this stuff you guys can just play around with as you go along. And this top left button that I just clicked is sort of like a take me back homepage. Okay, so now we'll get into creating an actual repository. So, oh, sorry, let me just go back. All right, so this is the button right here. It says create your first project. So create repository. And repository name, typically what I would do is name it something where you got to keep in mind that when you're working on a project, the people who are visiting your GitHub page haven't worked alongside the project with you. So again, I'll go back to the example of why I had to create a new account. Is initially a lot of my projects names were super random, like it'd be basketball mini hoop shot or something like that, and that like might make sense to someone, but like for others that'd be really confusing. Like, what are you really talking about? So I had to like change it up to keep it super general, just so they get like a gist of like what the project is about before they even click on your actual repository. So yeah, owner would be you. Name it something related to the project. I'm just going to name it test one for right now. You can have a small description. So let's just say like test for workshop, and you can just have a super short description here, and a better description can be made later. Public or private. So you want to always keep, okay, this is going to sound a bit weird, but it's your personal projects that you want to keep public, versus if it's sort of like a public project, it's typically private. And I'll explain what I mean by that. So when you're doing a private project, when others visit your page, if it's public, they can view your entire repository. If it's private, they can't click on it. Only people with access, like given access to that repository, can work on it. So it makes sense for an organization when they have a big project they're working on with multiple people on like software side, back end, front end, whatever, like multiple people are working on like the repository, they keep it private and give access to only those specific individuals, or else anybody from the internet can just sort of go in and steal their code. For your own personal projects, you don't really need to worry about people stealing your code. It's not licensed or anything, and it sort of more should be like a hobby thing that you're doing on the side. So keeping it public smart so other people can also look at it and check it out. And it's still like a safe way to store your ideas. Initialize this repository with. So it gives you multiple options. And for now, what I definitely just do is just add a README file. And we'll get into what a README file is really quick. All right, so that's all done. So you just click create a repository. Loading. Perfect. All right, got it. So this is your repository. So if we go back out to the home page, your repositories are going to be listed here. So we're at test one. All right. Now this is quite a bit of stuff. So we will get into the README file first. Yeah, okay. So remember when I clicked initialize with a README file, this is what the README file is. It's sort of like initially when they click on the repository, they're met with a README file that they can like actually like read step by step and see, like it's like a description of your project, but it's way more detailed than this little description on the side. And then your files will be stored in this upper category, which we'll get into. Okay, README files. So with a README file, there's some things you can do. It's like nice little features. I believe GitHub will soon, hopefully, update their software so it's a more seamless experience. Because right now, if you want to bold like some font or you want to underline some font, there should be like by now, there should be buttons here which let you do that, which is just called like, I believe it's like smart typing or something, where it's a lot more convenient like you would typically have on Word or Google Docs. They do not, unfortunately. So right now there are some like markdowns where if you have a hashtag and then like a space and you type something, that becomes the title. And then underneath that, you just have regular text where you can just type, have a description. So right now we'll just leave it at that. I'll show you guys what a proper README file looks like afterwards when I log back into one of my actual accounts. So once you make whatever changes you like, you scroll all the way down, and GitHub always has like a button here where it's typically like it just says like yes, but like GitHub uses commit changes. So whatever changes you've made, you're committing to them and you're sort of making them official. So boom, you go back out and whatever random letters I added, they're back here. Okay. So we'll get back into the README file afterwards in more detail, definitely. But right now, I will just go over everything really quick. All right. So you go back into test one. So your README file's updated it, and you just have the README file here. Now, when you're uploading a project on GitHub, typically you're definitely going to have more than the README file. You're not just going to describe what you're doing. You're going to put the code on there. You might have like a link to a demonstration or something like that. So how would you do that? So you'd go to Add File, Upload Files, and it's sort of just going to be like a drag and drop system. So will it let me? Okay, good. So if I just, let's just have like a Word document here, I can just like sort of drag it on. Obviously, I'm not going to actually upload this, but you'd have like a folder full of all of your code that you just drag and drop. And then once again, just commit changes and it'll happen. It said like, it's an issue because I didn't actually have any files in there, but that's how you'd add files. And now just one final thing. Now we talked about people visiting your repositories, but what if you want to visit someone else's repositories? So this works. Okay, so this is on my main account. So right now we're on the test account and I'm viewing my main account. So as you can see, it's all running pretty smoothly. Like I can look at my descriptions that I've written, and this is what a proper repository would look like. All the code is right here, and that's uploaded like I just showed you guys. But if you want to go to someone else's code and you need a part of their code, and this is like very common in software development, like rarely do people do an entire project without like not stealing, but like taking obviously code. As long as you reference it, it's fine. Someone else's code. So the way you would do that is once you click into someone else's repository, you're going to have this main page, and this green button here, it says code, and it has like this little download symbol. So what you want to do is have it like this and download zip. And it's going to quickly shoot one here, and it downloads a zip file. You can drag it onto your desktop, extract all. Yeah, I can just do it as a demonstration. Move. Okay, so if we have this here, now we just go extract all, and then right here. So now these are all like the files for whatever is like written here. Okay,